Necrophobia is fear of death or fear of dead people. Max made a special deal with me when he showed up at my door this morning. This was not a pill that he intended to use, but he feels like this would be able to wrap up the research quicker. Before I begin, I want to address a couple of questions you guys have had. One of the comments in the previous part questioned me about how I said nothing creepy happened to me in the past. Honestly, I don't have a great answer for that. The human mind is funny. We only perceive things the way we want to perceive them. I never felt like I had any part of the deaths that occurred. Instead, I just called it a coincidence. It just makes life seem a lot more simple. In a way, I'm thankful for the pills. It has opened my eyes so much. Other people have brought up the fact that Max is not human. You're right, he is not. But I did find out that I'm not exactly human either. Funny thing is, if someone knew what we both were before they met us, they would be far more scared meeting me than Max. I'll get back to that later in the post. I don't know what Max's last name is. Hell, I don't even know what his real first name is. I just know that for the first time, I have bested that piece of shit. Max came to my house right as I was about to take my fourth pill. I know I should have been surprised he knew where I lived, but after the last couple of days, I started to believe that he just knew where I was at all times. You gonna let me in, or are you going to be like your rude-ass father and let me stand in the cold? Come in. Didn't even think you'd have the decency to ask. Sit down anywhere you want. No, please. Would you like some tea with gold flakes or peanut butter toast with jizz from the gods on it? No need to be hostile. And don't insult the gods. Anyways, I didn't come here to make small talk with a dull-headed human. I came here to give you a deal. I'm not taking any more pills after this. I don't give a fuck how much you give me. No, if you just shut the fuck up and listen, you'd see that I'm trying to help you. Instead of taking the last 3 pills, I will give you 1. This pill will only last 3 hours. I will sit and observe. Do we have a deal? Fuck that. You're just trying to kill me and stay here so you can get rid of the evidence or some shit. Killing you would be doing you a service. After all, you would just be closer to your daddy if you die. No. I just want to see how you would react to this pill. I'll even let you know what it will do to you. Oh my God, just tell me. There's no need to be secretive about it when you're just going to end up telling me anyway. Necrophobia. Fear of dead and dying, honestly. It's the direct opposite of you. And I feel like this would be fun for me to watch. Max tossed the pill towards me, and I stared down at it. After thinking about it for a couple of seconds, I grabbed the other 3 pills and gave them to Max. He put the pills in his pocket and sat down on the couch. After taking a couple of deep breaths, I put the pill in my mouth and swallowed. Immediately, red spots started appearing everywhere I looked, and a high-pitched noise filled the air. Max calmly sat there as the noises started to get louder and louder. Soon it was at an unbearable volume, and pain erupted inside of my head. It felt like every little noise that went into my ear tried to escape through parts of my skull. I started to cry out in agony when I could hear Max speaking to me. Even with my hands over my ears, I could hear his voice clearly. Poor uncle, poor uncle. Always thought he was human. Thought he would just go through life as a mere mortal. I don't blame you. After all, your lack of intelligence proves that you are truly the son of the unseen one. And for that, I must make sure your sanity is gone. May death come slow, but your life be a disappointment to your family. May the children of Apollo rise and descendants of Hades remain in the underworld where they belong. I tried grabbing him, but I couldn't take my hands off my ears. I kept trying to remind myself that the noise was just my imagination, but I couldn't convince myself. I felt like if I took my hands off my ears, I would die. I couldn't die. I never wanted to die. No. I tried using anger to motivate me. I thought of my father dying because of Max, but instead of making me angry, my entire body locked up in fear. The thought of a dead body rotting away in dirt, skin peeling off of its rotting flesh, intestines becoming a grayish sludge. The sound was too loud. Everything I saw was completely red. It was too much. I blacked out, and I could hear Max laughing. As I opened my eyes, I heard a voice deeper than I've ever heard.
The last thing you should be afraid of is death. Don't let the fear overpower you. Make death your ally, and not your enemy.
Everything was back to normal. The sound was gone, the red spots disappeared. Max was still sitting on my couch. He looked at me with a small smile on his face and said, "Well done. You only have 30 minutes left. Here, drink some water. It should help you feel like normal again." I didn't trust him anymore, and I did the one thing I should have done all along. Max did seem confused when he saw his arm moving on its own. Yes, he did struggle when his hand went into his pocket and placed the pill on his tongue. He thrashed around when his other hand put the bottle of water to his lips. A high-pitched noise and the red spots started to come back, but it was already too late. The pill was weaker now, and it was easy to ignore it. Every gulp Max took of the drink, I could see the panic in his eyes grow. I ran around the house and locked every door. It took 30 minutes for Max to become a paranoid mess, and it was the second part of the death I planned out for him. After a couple of minutes, he silently got up and went to my kitchen. He grabbed a couple of knives and ran as quickly as he could down the street. I sat on my couch and watched the news. It didn't take long for local news to cover a story about a guy who walked into a local Taco Bell, started stabbing himself in the chest with every single knife he had. It was funny listening to one guy's recount of the event. "I don't know, man. This dude came out here and screamed about how he didn't want no woman to touch him. He walked up to a guy holding some orange and slapped that shit right out of his hand and took him not to fuck. Get back here, Billy. You should be in bed by now. Sorry, I mean, mess with the devil's fruit. Last thing I saw, he was afraid to live in a dirty world and started to stab himself. Some bitch was nuts." Billy. Well, don't really have much else to say, but I do know that this may seem a little confusing to some of you guys, so I'll explain. Max was son of Apollo, and I am the son of Hades. We aren't gods, but we do have a fraction of the powers our parents do. Max knew how I would act in particular situations, and he knew I would end up killing a couple of people I love. He wanted to break me down mentally. He damn near succeeded. He just became careless with the little game he had made for me. No, I didn't end up getting the 43 grand, but shit. I'm just glad I didn't go insane. What am I going to do now? Well, quitting my job for starters. I'm going to an organization that offered me help. I don't know much about them, but I do know that they will be able to help me. Yes, I see the father that passed away as my real father. He was there for me when I was growing up, and the hurt I feel from his death will forever be there. For that I'll say, rest in peace. May your soul pass on to Elysium. I just want to say one thing. The pills did not. The pills did help me overcome my normal cowardice self. I'm not a hero by any means, nor do I have mad amounts of muscle. Courage is not found through bouts of heroism. No, it's found through doing things you thought you would never do, whether it's talking to a girl you always had a crush on, telling your mother to stop taking pills that made her become a complete pile of trash, or snatching the bottle of beer out of your father's hands so that you can see the tears that run down your face because of his struggle with alcohol. I hope you can take a lesson out of my experiences and keep pushing forward. If you fall back, you'll be a hell of a lot further than you were when you started. As always, this is Hayon, and I would like to thank all of you for your suggestions and support. It was by far the roughest experience of my life. We helped me get through it. If I do end up with more experiences from the organization in the future, I'll post about it. Until then, goodbye. P.S. Max, hope you have fun in the underworld. I'm sure Hades has a special treat for you. I don't know, man. This dude came out here and screamed about how he didn't want no woman to touch him. He walked up to a guy holding some orange and slapped that shit right out of his hand and took it. Took him not to fuck.
Get back here, Billy. You should be in bed by now.
Sorry, I mean,
Didn't you?
messed with the devil's fruit. Last thing I saw, he was afraid to live in a dirty world and started to stab himself. Some bitch was nuts.
Billy,